Hi folks, welcome to session number 18 of Electronic Music Reviews with Scotch&Grey. As always, in the background, our busy Steven, juggling with donuts and cables. Say hello, Steven.
Hello, Steven.
Today we will have a look at a collected work of a man from Germany who is really extremely diligent in what he always loved to do and obviously loves: the production of ambient and electronica. You can hear that he is very experimental, and not only from one album to another. No, also within the albums there are quite a few drastic style changes. So you shouldn't sit back in your armchair and expect that your next hour will be a quiet ambient-ish walk from beginning to the end, just because the first minutes are dripping softly out of the speakers. With Michael Brückner, that's the name of the workaholic master behind the keys and faders, it's more like inside a supermarket of sounds. You know where you are shopping, but you don't know what you will have in your shopping cart at the end. The present album, with the play on words name My Setup is Upset, behaves exactly the same way. Besides slow and very discreet tracks like Edelfee, whatever that means, there are also tracks you probably wouldn't expect to find on an ambient album. I'll just mention a piece of music called Kloppy. Don't ask me what that means now, but it's everything but meditation music. It's rather bass in your face. So it's clear that the albums of Mr. Brückner are mostly no continuous ambient works, but rather a collection of short and also long sound experiments summarized in small or even quite big bundles. And now, hold on tight, there are currently 104 of them on Bandcamp. For sure you can expect further growth. Partly these albums are only single tracks, but mostly albums with more than 10 tracks each. But now you shouldn't think, okay, 10 tracks on average, maybe every track about 4 to 7 minutes long, and bang, you have filled a good hour of music. No. Today's album proves that Michael Brückner arranges his albums according to a completely different concept. On My Setup is Upset, we have 22 tracks, of which only 8 are between 4 and 7 minutes long. The other tracks average 15 to 20 minutes. 4 tracks are even half an hour each. Now, you can roughly estimate how many hours of headphone music you can listen to. This corresponds to at least 5 over average filled shopping carts at Walmart, if you allow me this crude comparison. Now multiply that by 100 and you know how many weeks of music Brückner has been cooking in his studio since the beginning of the 90s until today. Okay, now that we've talked about the quantum that has accumulated over the years on the shelves of the aforementioned sound experimenter, let's talk about what you can and must expect stylistically. You can already hear a lot of things going on in the background, and I guess you've noticed that sometimes it's quiet and gentle stuff we hear, with lots of pads and sometimes sugary arpeggios. Then again, there are tracks that are just pure sound experiments, shots into the blue for technophiles. For example, the track Het Mama Mahatma, which I can only identify as wordplay again. At least Wikipedia didn't tell me anything helpful about it. Anyway, it's not surprising that such crazy recordings found their way into these albums if you read the accompanying description of the albums. They are mostly musical improvisations, sound experiments and tryouts. So it's quite possible that at the beginning of a song there was only the plan to try out a new device, just give some echo to a synth and then crank it up, twiddle the knobs. And once the creator was satisfied with the result in the end, if a certain mood was captured, then it was simply not deleted and found its way into the collection. This raw, stochastic sound can really be heard out of many tracks. Sometimes there are minor distortions, here and there a click or crackle, but nothing that would have really influenced the evolution of a piece negatively. It often has something of the wildness of a thunderstorm. Many different elements appear, have their lifespan, disappear again, overlap, displace each other, submerge, and so on. It becomes partly very, very dynamic, even chaotic. You have to reckon with alternating silence and loud noise at any time, not only from track to track, but also within a composition. In many tracks you can see where Brückner has his roots. Berlin School gives many tracks their face. Subtle beginnings, building up over long sequences, everything strives toward a climax, which seems to move further and further away with every note. Sometimes it's reached, sometimes the energy of the track fades away after a while and dies, only to then perform the same dance in the next track. Listen to track 20, for example, live at Raumzeit Festival 2012, set 2 of this album. It's such a typical, untypical example. It takes time until the story picks up tempo. Then it breathes, changes, makes curious for more, and carries the listener for a good while into the world of thoughts and sounds of a very diligent and experimental ambient and electronica enthusiast. Okay, dear friends of 5-hour albums and musical ecstasy exploring, I say thanks for listening. Links to the album and the complete portfolio by Michael Brückner can be found in the description below the video. Listen to it, buy it, or even grab the full load of 100+ albums with a discount and leave the artist some feedback. And if you like this session, as always, write us something nice in the comments and check back next week on our channel. If you like, leave a thumbs up and press the subscribe button. You know, then we're pretty happy and I can finally go offline for a month to find out what those crazy track names of today's album might mean. Wiesen Milch, Illa Isolech, Störtebecker, Blanc, Plegoda, Boomskald, Edelvieh, Moser.